What's up everybody, Whack4863 here, and today we're going to look at some different weapons to give your thralls. Now we are going to set a baseline with the Sword of Kromms, and we are going to use the same setup across the whole thing. So we have the Sword of Kromms, 96 damage, 34% armor pen, and here's the setup, the God's Eye, and the rest of the armor is the flawless, epic flawless Hyborian Slaver. Now the reason why we're doing that is because she gets the highest strength bonus. She is also wearing strength war paint, so we're going to go and we're going to test this out against the Brute, and you are going to see I'm going to set a timer for each one of these. Now, the Sword of Kromms is like the creme de la creme of all weapons, right? It's got the highest damage, but it is also extremely difficult to get. So what I wanted to do is, since the mounts update added the ability to give them armors and equipment, weapons that do boosts to their attributes, I wanted to play with some different weapons, and I want to see how much time difference that actually makes, because Conan Exiles really is a game of time, right? So how much time are you going to spend farming? How much time are you going to spend defeating bosses in order to get the equipment or the resources that you want? So you can see the Sword of Kromms. There you go, 40 seconds. This thrall will be level 18 throughout this video. Let's get into the next one. So moving on down the list, we have the Bane of Odd. Now it has 56 damage and 21% armor pen. As you can see, the exact same setup as before, all the way down to the war paint with a plus 18 because of the extra strength that she gets from this weapon. And that's what we're looking at. We are looking at those attributes from all of these weapons that I am going to show you. Now I am going in order of worst to best from here on out, as far as comparing them to the Sword of Kromms. So let's see where we end up with this weapon. Now, if you're not sure where to get this particular weapon, it is actually gotten from killing boss monsters around the world and then unlocking the legendary chests with the skeleton key that you get from them. Now, I wanted to do both one-handed weapons and two-handed weapons, so this is going to be my choice for the one-handed sword. And you might say, well, there's better one-handed swords out there, but what I'm really looking at in this video is the addition of the strength bonus. I did not, however, put Ajah's Bane in the video because I really don't feel like the one-handed maces are that good of a weapon. I don't feel like it, so I didn't do it, guys. So Ajah's Bane does do additional strength for yourself or your thrall, but I don't feel like it would have made the cut for this video. So as you can see, we are well over a minute here, guys, and she is still going after it. Now, just because the Sword of Kromms was at 50 seconds, what I'm going to tell you is that a minute and 26 seconds when he drops there is still not a bad time. And as you can see, very little health loss. Next on our list is Kromms Hammer. Now this has 62 damage and 45% armor pen. You will notice that all of these weapons that I'm showing you actually have the master weapon fitting on there. Now the master weapon fitting is learned in the Warmaker's dungeon for reading a tablet after beating the Warmaker's champion. Now she has the plus 18 in strength, and this one does give bonus strength and bonus grit. So really, I suggest this as a weapon for yourself because the grit is lost on the thrall. However, there is also another weapon that does this, and that's Maelstrom, and it gives bonus strength and bonus vitality. However, I would still choose this one over that one, even though all the stats are the same. And I'll explain that once we're done watching this fight. The nice thing about the hammers is that it gives the sunder, so if they would continue to use the heavy attack, all their other attacks would actually penetrate even more. However, I don't feel like Thralls use a lot of heavy attacks. It doesn't happen as often as I would expect. So you can see she gets it up to 3 there. She went 2 more, she'd be just clipping through his health, but instead she decides to kick. So there's all that to keep in mind, guys. A lot of people are going to say, well, why did you choose this particular enemy to test against? Well, I think it's one of the quickest fights that can be done. It really doesn't move around a whole lot, and it doesn't have a huge hit point pool. So I feel like this is a good enemy to set a baseline against. And then as you go on to other enemies, you may pick different weapons out of this. So a minute 16, still not that bad. So here you go, guys. I'm going to explain why you want to use Kromms Hammer instead of Maelstrom. As you can see, it's 62 and 45 with bonus strength and grit. Maelstrom is 62 and 45 with bonus vitality and strength, which is great if you keep the weapon in your hand. And as you know, Thralls do not like to keep weapons in their hand. So let's look at what happens when I put it in her hand. You can see her hit points go up by 541. However, if I take this out of her hand, her hit points go back down. Now, if you watch the gruel, every time I put this weapon in her hand and take it out, the gruel count goes down because she starts healing right away when it's put in her hand. So I don't recommend this weapon because your Thrall is not going to keep this weapon in their hand. Moving on down the list, we have the Axe of the Lion here, guys. And again, I chose this weapon because it does give bonus strength. Same basic setup here all the way down. And if we look at the Axe of the Lion, 59 health damage, 12% armor pen. Now, something to keep in mind again here, guys, is that this is going to cause bleed damage to any enemy that would be susceptible to that. This enemy, however, is not going to bleed because it's undead. So this could be a really good weapon against things like the giant croc or anything that bleeds. However, I think you'll see that it's a good weapon in this instance as well. So here she is getting started, and let's see where she ends up. Now, the Axe of the Lion is another weapon that you get from legendary chests around the world. So you will have to kill king bosses around the world and open their chests with the skeleton key. Now, a lot of these weapons that I'm showing you here today, guys, are actually weapons that I would use myself, minus the Sword of Kromm, right? Because what's the point of expending all of your stamina for a single swing? But everything else that I'm showing you is something that I use on a regular basis for the most part. My favorites to run with right now are Kromms Hammer and the Axe of the Lion to use personally. Now, we are coming up here to the end of this fight, and we see she lands at 56 seconds, which is a very good time. Now, last but certainly not least, and my choice of weapon right now for my Thrall is this weapon. And it's going to surprise you. It's just going to. It is the Scythe of Tag. It has 77 damage and 12 armor pen, and its bonus is strength. You can see we are using everything that we've used throughout the video there. And if we give her the weapon, you'll see that she ends up... take the weapon, lady. There you go. She ends up with an additional 18 in strength as well. The thing that I want you guys to watch for is not so much how much damage she's doing just with the weapon. It's not just based solely on the weapon alone, but it is also based on the attack pattern. And I'm going to point some times out where she uses a certain attack pattern that you're going to want to watch both the Thrall and the health bar for this enemy. If I can get him started, there we go, finally. And once she kicks in, we'll start the timer there. And She's already done it once. You can see his health is way down. There's a second time, and I'll see if I get... She's going to do it one more time here, guys. One more coming up right here. And look at the way the health just shrinks down. Now, if you could get her to... I mean, look at that. If you could get her to do heavy attacks more often, this thing would tear through whatever it's up against, okay? So this is actually what I am taking my Thrall around and killing with right now, the Scythe of Tag. Now, if you're not sure where to get it, it is in the Wine Cellar dungeon, and it drops from the Smoke Demon boss. Let's look over all the times and see where we ended up. So here's the breakdown of the time, guys. 40 seconds with the Sword of Kromms, a minute 26 with the Bane of Odd, a minute 16 with Kromms Hammer, the Axe of the Lion at 56 seconds, and the Scythe of Tag at 45 seconds. Now, I have had kills with the Scythe of Tag at 42-ish seconds, so that's something to keep in mind. I really do think that if the Thrall attacks more heavy, you could see that number change. Hope you guys enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed making it. I'll catch you next time. Peace.